Hello my dear friends, you're in the Military with Summary channel, and this video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous 12 hours. We have lots of very interesting updates, so let's start. And first we're going to talk about the conflict on the territory of Ukraine, where yesterday the armed forces of Ukraine struck the city of Starobilsk. More precisely, the Ukrainians attacked the building of a college building on the territory of the city. And here we can see the first hours after the attack was carried out by the armed forces of Ukraine. As you can see, several buildings as a result of this attack were almost reduced to ruins. Later, the president of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin, stated that the Ukrainians, when attacking this building, were using 16 drones. Later, pro-Ukrainian sources confirmed their attack on the territory of the city of Starobilsk, but pro-Ukrainian sources and Ukraine authorities stated that they were attacking a headquarters of the unit of the Rubicon unit. So the situation is critical, and local sources and pro-Russian sources report about significant number of casualties among civilians. This morning, pro-Russian sources and Russian authorities made lots of new statements on this matter. Strikes like the one in Starobilsk are carried out with the technical assistance of NATO specialists. Key points from the Russian Foreign Ministry's statements. By carrying out the attack in Starobilsk, the Kiev regime and its handlers are assuming full responsibility for the escalation of hostilities. The Russian Federation has credible information that Western capitals are supplying the Ukrainian armed forces with intelligence and assisting with targeting. There will be no leniency for anyone responsible for the attack on the college in Starobilsk. So this is the situation in this area, and this attack in the direction of Starobilsk wasn't the only attack during the previous 24 hours, of course. The Ukrainians, during the previous night between the 22nd and the 23rd of May of 2026, once again attacked deep inside the territory of Russia using hundreds of drones. This morning, the Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation stated that they destroyed and intercepted 348 drones overnight. So a very big number, as you can see, and this map was published by pro-Ukrainian sources, where we can see the approximate routes of drones that were attacking the territory of the Russian Federation. And this morning we started receiving the first updates on the matter of results of this attack. The sources reported that significant damage the Ukrainians managed to deal once again to the city of Novorossiysk. More precisely, according to information we have, the Ukrainians attacked this territory, this object of fuel infrastructure, and here we can see in this video a fire broke out on the territory of this fuel infrastructure. Right after the Ukrainians attacked this territory, the sources reported that a lot of facilities, lots of tankers were damaged or were destroyed or significantly damaged. Furthermore, we have this video where we can see how the Russians were trying to bring down Ukraine's drones with air defense systems, but as we can see, several drones managed to break through this layered air defense and to hit this object of energy infrastructure. And I would like to remind you a very important detail that 3 days ago, during the 21st of May of 2026, the United Kingdom and their intelligence aircrafts were gathering reconnaissance operation in this area. In this video, we can see how 2 Russian fighter jets repeatedly and dangerously intercepted a British reconnaissance plane over the Black Sea. That was stated by the United Kingdom Ministry of Defense. So once again, NATO aircrafts, more precisely UK aircrafts, were flying in this area over the Black Sea, gathering reconnaissance operation about the situation in the area of the cities of Novorossiysk, Tuapse, and so on. And 2 days after, as we can see, Ukrainians attacked the city of Novorossiysk, and as a result of attack, this object of energy infrastructure was significantly damaged. Another area that was attacked by the Ukrainians is the central part of Russia. This morning we received reports that several damages and explosions were recorded on the territory of the city of Gubakha. In this video we can see consequences of attack, a black smoke over the chemical plant, most likely over this chemical plant that was attacked by the Ukrainians. As of now, we don't know for sure whether the Ukrainians managed to damage this object of a chemical infrastructure or not. Maybe this is a smoke after attack on the Ukrainian drone. Another area that was attacked by the Ukrainians is the city of Glazov. Here we have more pictures, and here we have more details on this matter. As you can see, as a result of attack, another object of a chemical infrastructure of the Russian Federation was damaged, or significantly even damaged. In these videos we can see drones flying over this territory and attacking different objects on the territory of the city. So as you can see, at least 3 places were attacked by the Ukrainians overnight: the city of Novorossiysk and 2 cities in the central part of Russia. The Russians also attacked the territory of Ukraine using just 124 drones. As you can see, that the number is very small in comparison with massive attacks that took place during the previous days. But it seems that the Russians right now are collecting drones. They continue attacking Ukrainians and the territory of Ukraine with hundreds of drones every single day. But now they use just 100 plus minus drones, and which means that the Russians are trying to collect as many as possible drones before the beginning of the next massive attack. The next massive attack most likely is going to take place within the next 2 or 3 days. And first of all, the Russians will attack because they concentrate significant number of drones. And the second thing is the Russians will attack the territory of Ukraine as a retaliatory strike on the situation in the area of the city of Starobilsk. As of the previous nights, we have some videos. The sources stated that the Russians attacked an object of energy infrastructure to the south of the settlement of Vilnogorsk. In these pictures we can see black smoke over the territory of this substation. Furthermore, we have a fire anomaly from this area, which means that indeed this object was significantly damaged by Russians during the night. Furthermore, we have explosions and videos from the city of Kharkiv. In this video we can see the consequences of attack. Something like a service center was damaged and destroyed by Russians as a result of a drone attack. And we have a video from the northeastern part of the Chernigov region. In this video we can see a warehouse on the territory of the settlement of Pechenegi. The Russians discovered that Ukrainians used these barracks and these warehouses to store drones that later the Ukrainians were using to attack deep inside of the territory of Russia. And when the Russians discovered this military object, the Russians attacked this territory with drones as well. And as you can see, a fire broke out right after the Russians attacked this territory. So the next days most likely are going to be very hot. So we'll see intensification of clashes between Russians and Ukrainians and more drone and missile strikes. Now let's discuss the situation on the ground. We have lots of very interesting updates, and first let's talk about the Crimea and about the southern Zaporozhye. I would like to remind you that according to information we have, these days Ukrainians managed to establish almost complete fire control over the M14 road between the mainland and Crimea. The Russians use this road not just for civilian purposes but for transporting fuel, for military logistics and so on. And this road is under very heavy and under very tough control from the Ukrainian side. As you can see, lots of vehicles, lots of military trucks and fuel trucks were damaged and destroyed. And this morning we received additional updates from this area. Truck traffic on the sector of the R218 highway through Kherson region to the Jankoi checkpoint has been temporarily suspended by decree of the head of Kherson region. According to decree, exceptions apply to military cargo, special cargo, medicines, equipment for restoring infrastructure, fuel, and just the most important things that civilians need and so on. Another important thing, the Sevastopol has imposed restrictions on fuel sales due to logistical difficulties that causes of which are known. So as you can see, currently the southern these regions, Crimea, Kherson, Zaporozhye, suffer huge problems with logistics and with fuel due to control over the M14 road and due to strikes on objects of fuel and energy infrastructure in the southern parts of Russia. Another important thing is the city of Kherson. According to information we have, Ukraine is proposing a local ceasefire to Russia in Oleshky, Kherson Oblast, stated Ukrainian Ombudsman Dmitry Lubinets. According to Lubinets, the Ukrainian side held talks with Russia on May 15th, and the parties agreed to the evacuation of approximately 6,000 civilians, including 200 children, from Oleshky. As of today, we have technically discussed all the issues. We are awaiting a date from the Russian side for the ceasefire proposed to be initiated and the physical evacuation to begin. So the Ukrainians, since the beginning of the special military operation, have bombed these territories significantly using drones and artillery. Basically, right now, it's impossible to live on the territory of the city of Oleshky, but as you can see, according to this article, there are still 6,000 civilians. So what the Ukrainians are trying to do, first of all, we need to understand that these 6,000 civilians is something like a human shield. And this human shield doesn't allow the Ukrainians to intensify their military activities in this area. And now the Ukrainians, due to all these strikes, managed to force the Russians to begin negotiations on the matter of evacuation of this area. And when and if and probably when this evacuation begins and happens, then there would be no more human shield on the territory of the city of Oleshky, which means that Ukrainians will be able to have possibilities to start the landing operation in the area of the settlement with the purpose to establish complete control over the settlement of Oleshky. The village of Oleshky is a very big village with industrial zones, with several industrial zones, with high-rise building areas and so on, and with the city of Kherson right behind. So if Ukrainians take on the complete control of the settlement of Oleshky, it will be very difficult for Russians to recapture the settlement back. So this is the reason why the negotiations started, and this is the reason why the Ukrainians were bombing and attacking the city, just with the purpose to force civilians to leave this area. And if it happens, then most likely the Ukrainians will start the next stage of possible Kherson landing operation. I would like to remind you that during 2024, we had the several operations on the Russian side of the river of Dnipro, and 2 years ago, the clashes and the most important battles were taking place through the village of Krynki, which was basically reduced to ruins as a result of clashes for the territory. Now let's move further and let's talk about the Zaporozhye direction. During the previous 12 hours, additional changes were recorded. And these are the changes on the ground. This is the end of the 22nd of May of 2026, and this is the beginning of the 23rd of May of 2026. This night, pro-Russian sources published a video of how they were attacking edge positions and assault forces of the armed forces of Ukraine, while the Ukrainians were attacking in the direction of the settlement by the name of Kamianske. We have a lot of episodes how Russians were attacking sabotage and reconnaissance groups of the armed forces of Ukraine, and these episodes took place along these tree lines. So basically we can make a conclusion that the Ukrainians didn't stop with control over the city of Stepnogorsk, and now the Ukrainians are trying to continue offensive or counter-offensive operation further with the purpose to establish complete control over the settlement of Kamianske and to force the Russians to fall back from this area. As we can see, the situation is becoming critical. Since the beginning of April, since the end of April of 2026, the Russians lost control over the territory to the south of the villages of Veselyanka and Grigorovka. The Ukrainians managed to recapture at least the northern parts of Stepnogorsk, and now we see that Ukrainians continue their counter-offensive operation in the direction of Kamianske. If Russians lose control over the settlement of Kamianske, most likely Ukrainians will continue their counter-offensive operation further in the direction of the settlement of Vasilievka, and if Russians lose control of Vasilenka, this will open the Ukrainians the way towards the city of Energodar from the east. And of course, from the north, the Ukrainians have already evacuated several territories from the cities of Nikopol and Marganets, which means that they can counterattack in the direction of the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant anytime. As for the eastern Zaporozhye direction, during the previous nights we haven't received anything, but we have received reports from the northern Zaporozhye direction. And as you can see, the map has been adjusted significantly. Yesterday, pro-Russian sources published this video, and here we can see how Russians were attacking positions of the armed forces of Ukraine in this area. The video is 4 minutes, and during this video we have dozens of episodes of how Russians were attacking Ukrainians through this territory and through these tree lines. As you can see, at least 5 geolocations we managed to find, which means that most likely this territory is under complete and strong control of the armed forces of Ukraine. According to the changes, we see that these territories used to be either in the gray zone or either infiltrated by the armed forces of Ukraine, but it seems that during the previous days the Ukrainians have managed to improve their positions in this area significantly. So we see that the Zaporozhye battle continues. The Ukrainians are actively counter-attacking the Russian forces in the Russian positions, and the Russians are trying to repel attacks under huge pressure, under huge problems with logistics and supply and support of their contingent along the line of combat contact. As for the Konstantinovka direction, we haven't received anything, and probably we have changes. Also, we have changes in the Liman direction. These days, pro-Russian sources stated that the Ukrainians finished regrouping and began their major counter-offensive operation in this area as well. We have already discussed the situation yesterday. According to pro-Russian sources, the Ukrainians began a counter-offensive operation with the purpose to recapture the territories to the west of the river of Nitrius. So to recapture these positions and to force the Russians to fall back to the eastern bank of the river. And today we start receiving the first updates on this matter. A video was published by pro-Russian sources, and in this video we can see how Ukrainians using several armored vehicles and infantry were trying to counter-attack in the direction of the settlement of Nova. And based on this video we have adjusted the map. So this is the situation by the end of the 22nd, and this is the situation by the beginning of the 23rd of May of 2026. The Ukrainians counter-attack from the north with the purpose to recapture the settlements of Redkadub and the village of Nova, with the purpose to increase the pressure on the northern flank of the Liman direction. The Russians meanwhile continue offensive in the city of Liman, and as you can see, the Ukrainians are trying to attack from behind just with the purpose to win some time. So the general battle is intensifying, and these days most likely we'll receive more and more updates on this matter. And that's it for the short video. The Military Summary channel reminds to condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for your watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye-bye.